Do you remember? This is on seminal colliculum. It is placed very smaller to the diameter. This is rudiment of the uterus. And in a female organism will be rudiment of the penis, which is called clitoris. The external and internal organs of the female system will be this is the same division like in the male system. External organs for the female system will be greater sex lips, lesser sex lips, and clitoris. Clitoris, this is rudiment of the penis. It includes very small reduction, the condition of the cavernous bodies and spongious body. And don't have the glans penis, do you see? This is a very smaller column which is formed by spongious and cavernous bodies. Greater sex lips, these are skin folds which have concrete skin characteristic, which include the skin hairs, skin oil and fluid glands, and inside they include the biggest portion of the fat in this skin folds. In front of they connect by anterior commissure, behind they connect by posterior commissure. And lesser sex lips, they are placed medially than the greater sex lips, and they are atypical skin. This is not mucous folds. These are not mucous folds. This is atypical skin folds. In front of they divide into two legs. Two anterior legs, they produce the fold by which they close the clitoris. This will be like rudiment of the preputium. Do you see? Do you see another? You can see here will be, do you see, greater sex lips, do you see? They connect behind by, do you see, commissure, and in front of by commissure. This will be, do you see, the skin lips, do you see, which, do you see, have glands and hairs, and medially will be, do you see, the atypical, do you see, atypical folds, which behind connect by commissure. In front of they divide, do you see, into two legs. Two, do you see, anterior legs, they produce pocket, which will close, so do you see, the clitoris. This will be clitoris. And do you see, posterior legs, they will go, do you see, to the deep or dorsal side of the clitoris. They will do the frenulum of the clitoris, like frenulum, do you remember, of the glans penis. Do you see, between lesser sex lips will be external open of the female urethra, and do you see here will be open of the vagina, which is covered by hymen before first sex contact. You can see these are external organs. Internal organs, do you see, this will be uterus. You can see this is uterus. This is abnormal distance of the uterus because it has the tumor fibromatosis. Now I will show it you. Do you see, here will be, do you see, the blister. Do you see, here will be fibromatosis. Do you see the some knots which are formed by connective tissue. Do you see, they are placed, do you see, in the myometrium. You can see this is space of the uterus, but here it is so abnormal because its distance from in front to the back will be 1 millimeter. You can see its shape by frontal position will be triangular shape. You can see this will be uterus. Do you see? This will be body of the uterus. This will be cervix of the uterus. In the cervix will be cervical canal, which opens into the uterine cavity. From uterine cavity begins uterine tube, which passes through the thicket of the uterus. This is called uterine part. When it exits, this will be isthmus bridge. This will be, do you see, ampoule of it. This will be funnel, which is called infundibulum. Around of it will be fibrils, which include the, do you see, myofibrils. Do you see, here will be, do you see, abdominal open of the uterine tube. No, you can see this will be opposite of uterine tube. Do you see? This will be ampoule, this will be funnel. Do you see, here will be abdominal open of the uterine tube. Around of the uterine tube rotates, do you see, the peritoneum and hangs below. Do you see, hangs below by two portions, do you see? And they will produce plate, which is called broad ligament of the uterus. Do you see? Like here, you can see. Here will contain broad ligament of the uterus, do you see, which covers uterine tube and hangs below. You can see between these two layers of the broad ligament here will direct into the inguinal canal the teres or round ligament of the uterus. Teres or round ligament of the uterus. What teres or round ligament of the uterus does? It, do you see, keeps uterus by this position, because here will be uterine tubes, here will be, do you see, teres or round ligament, which passes through the inguinal canal, attaches to the pubic symphysis, and keeps uterus by this position, which is called anteflexio, and angle is called anteversio. Did you understand? This is the anterior side, and through the anterior side, you can see projection of this, do you see, teres or round ligament. Do you see? You can see its projection inside. Do you see? You can see here is better. Do you see? This teres or round ligament, it is placed between two layers of the broad ligament. Did you understand? This is posterior side. Here I draw you anterior side. Here is posterior side. On the posterior side is placed ovary gland, which is kept by propria ovary ligament with uterus. You can see this is propria ovary ligament. Do you see? Give me the forceps. Maybe in upper. Look, please, do you see? This is another uterus, and this uterus in 1/2 time more than the normal uterus, and this, do you see, in 3 or 4 times more than the normal uterus. You can see this is broad ligament, and do you see here between two layers is placed teres or round ligament, about which I explained you. Do you see? This is called broad ligament. It is formed by two layers about which I explained you. Did you understand? Okay, and this is anterior side. Was anterior side. This is posterior side. This is ovary gland. This is ovary gland. Oh my dear, also destroyed it. This is teres or round ligament. Here do you see compact plate? Do you see? This is compact plate. Students destroyed it. Do you see? And here is ovary gland. This is old person, because do you see it has some, do you see, reduction. Do you see? And there's some sclerosis. You can see here ovary, do you see, gland is connected with body by propria ovary ligament, and it connects with funnel of the uterine tube by suspensorium. Suspensorium is translated, this is propria ovary ligament, and this is suspensorium, which continues to the funnel. Did you understand? You can see here will be propria ovary ligament. It keeps the ovary gland. This will be suspensorium. This will be suspensorium. The ovary gland, it is formed by the medullary part and cortex. Medullary part, this is visit from posterior margin, do you see, into the ovary gland of the vessels, north and exit of the vessels, and now this will be medullary part. The whole structure, do you see, of the ovary gland includes, do you see, folliculuses. Folliculuses, these are very smaller microbalance, which include inside the primary oocyte. If the man, through his life, every time after puberty time, produces the sperm cells, when we get newborn girl, she in both ovary glands includes near the 400,000 of the primary oocytes. Some of them will reduct, some of them will transform by each month into the secondary oocytes and will exit from organism like menses. Did you understand? You can see Uterus, it is covered from externally by serous membrane, which is called perimetrium. Another sheet will be myometrium. Myometrium, do you see, for the uterus, do you see, like for the another organs, which are storehouses for the something, it includes the three muscular sheets. But these three muscular sheets, they don't separate, like for example, oblique, longitudinal, circular layers of the stomach, for example. And here, do you see, they contain the some layers, they will contain into the another layers. Why? They will do strong wall, because, do you see, the uterus by its normal distance will be like, do you see, normal egg. Do you see? And when, do you see, it will stop pregnancy, it can expand into the 500 times or more. Because, do you see, inside will increase pressure, will increase the object, and because, do you see, for the strong condition of the walls, the layers of the uterus will contain one into the another. You can see the space on the, do you see, sagittal plane. This is uterus, do you see? This is cervix of the uterus. This is cervical canal. This is uterine cavity. This is uterine cavity. By sagittal plane, this will be thinner space. By frontal plane, this will be triangular shape. Did you understand? You can see here will be vagina. You can see here will be vagina, and do you see vagina has anterior roof, fornix, posterior roof. Posterior fornix is very deep. Do you remember I said you, here will be rectum, here will be Douglas pocket. Do you remember? And through the vagina we can, do you see, check the excavatio recta uterina. Yes. Listen to me. Inside will be the mucus sheet. Mucus sheet divides into the constant layer and inconstant layer. When, do you see, by each month, do you see, the primary cell wants to transform into the secondary, to grow. The any, do you see, folliculus will grow, do you see, and will continue to the externally, will broke, and oocyte will exit into the peritoneal cavity. Here, this, do you see, myofibrils with fibrils, do you see, will catch this oocyte and will direct into the uterine tube. By peristaltic movements, it will go into the uterine cavity. But if it didn't have contact with sperm cell, by its chemistry condition, do you see, it cannot glue to the mucous membrane. But when the oocyte exits, it can be, do you see, 2 or 3 days it can travel by uterine tube. But when it exits, here, do you see, the folliculus will transform into the yellow body. Yellow body will produce progesterone. Progesterone will, do you see, increase the thickness of the mucous membrane, will do you see, very thick inconstant layer, which will wait for the visit of the oocyte. If the oocyte doesn't contact with the sperm cell, do you see, it cannot glue, it cannot do implantation, and the mucous membrane inconstant together with oocyte will exit like menses. But here ample, this is place for the meeting of the oocyte and sperm cell. You can see the spermatocyte, it is a very micro cell, mobile with tail, and it, do you see, do you see, more than the 100 times lesser than the distance of the oocyte, because it will go by, do you see, cervix into the uterine cavity, through the uterine tube will come, do you see, into the ample, where it will have contact with oocyte. And here exit, do you see, the secondary oocyte, adult oocyte. And listen to me, by this condition, by peristaltic movements, do you see, zygote, blastule, and do you see, will glue to the endometrium, and will develop pregnancy. And do you see, when the pregnancy will develop, this yellow body will grow, because yellow body produces hormone progesterone. And progesterone, it controls the life of the oocyte. If the oocyte, do you see, will pass through the through the 2 or 3 days through the uterine tube, it will produce progesterone. If, do you see, endometrium will not, do you see, take it, do you see, this, do you see, yellow body will change by white body. What is white body? This is connective tissue. If, do you see, oocyte will transform into the moral gastroblastol, and listen to me, and after that it will, do you see, transform into the embryo, into the fetus. Every time yellow body will grow, and it will keep in the uterine cavity the embryo or fetus. Sometimes will be automatic abortion of the pregnancy, will finish the pregnancy early. And this can be deficit of the progesterone. And very often doctor look by ultrasound examination, by another dossier, CT examination of the uterus, and if they see some symptoms which inform us about problem with keeping, do you see, doctor informs the woman to, because for her it's important to do injections of the progesterone. Did you understand? You can see, if the uterus by pregnancy can expand into the 500 times, uterine tube can expand by pregnancy only into the 25 times. 25 times they accord, so before 2 months, so after 2 months of the pregnancy, and after that will destroy it. For example, women which very often they have the inflammation, they can get inflammation of the uterine tube. Uterine tube by Latin is called tuba uterina, by Greek is called salpingum. Salpingitis, this is inflammation of the uterine tube. Will be, do you see, one inflammation, another, and space of the uterine tube will decrease and will sclerosis. The sperm cell can, do you see, go for the meeting because it is very smaller with our side, and, do you see, oocyte, do you see, after contact with sperm cannot pass through the uterine tube. Will develop uterine, will be tube pregnancy. You can see tube pregnancy. It can finish by the destruction of the uterine tube, can be bleeding, can be pain, shock. Did you understand? This is a very big problem. But sometimes, do you see, can be decreasing, not only of the uterine tube, can be decreasing by inflammations of